My name is Matty Sullivan, and this is my video. The thesis is, just like every culture, Americans use uniforms to create automatic first impressions about specific people within the culture, as well as the roles they play. These roles are easily identifiable by the uniform and effectively dictate how a person should respond to them. Of course, as a student of interpersonal communication, you already know how much we rely on first impressions in our interactions, especially when it comes to our interactions with strangers. Still, most people would be surprised to realize how many different uniforms we encounter on a regular basis. Some more than others, of course. The interesting thing about uniforms is that even though they are basically automatic first impressions, they are not usually intended to indicate anything in the way of personality. In fact, once you know what the uniform means, you will have the same response to it every time you see it, no matter who's wearing it, even if no one is wearing it. This is because a uniform is the opposite of personal fashion. It's not worn to reflect an individual, it's worn to reflect a role, and we are expected to interact with the wearer of the uniform in specific ways. Yet on a cultural level, we are interacting with the uniform and not the personality wearing it. This is especially true of three uniforms in particular: that of the police officer, the doctor, and the priest. These three roles play large parts in our culture, and each of them is associated with highly ritualized interactions. They also require the individual fulfilling the role to, in essence, absolve themselves of personality, at least while they are in uniform, and instead devote themselves only to fulfilling their function within society. This anti-individualist point of view is in sharp contrast to the rest of the American culture, which concentrates on the expression of individual. Of course, the cultural significance of uniforms originated long before America did, back to the beginnings of humankind itself. Every society of any size, from tribal to industrial, has used uniforms to represent certain necessary roles and to identify their functionaries. In general, these roles correspond to what Carl Jung called the archetypes, mythological prototypes that act as conduits for the cultural energies of a people. The archetype of the police officer, for example, is the protector. The doctor is the healer. And the priest is the holy man. These are roles which help our culture function, and they are vitally important. Because of their psychological weight, these archetypes have profound effects on those who encounter them. Of course, this can lead to problems when the person wearing a uniform behaves in a way which clashes with the archetype they are meant to embody. For example, when the protector becomes the tyrant, the healer becomes the salesman, the priest becomes the abuser, or even the demon. This sort of thing has a harmful effect on the culture, which usually responds with outrage and protest, as if it had been deceived, or had its trust betrayed. Of course, this illustrates how much we rely on uniforms to make sense of our culture, and how much responsibility lies upon the shoulders of those who wear them.